We are Monday, July 23rd. Technically, according to my astrologer, the book should be officially released tomorrow, but I wanted to do something with you today. Here it is. Now, yes, I know this looks just like the old volume, but if you look on the back, it does say revised edition. We just loved that cover so much, we didn't think we could improve on perfection. We are going to get little stickers that say revised edition. But what I want to show you is the inside. If you've ever done your own print on demand with Amazon, you know that they don't particularly care what it looks like. But when you go with someone like the Troy Bookmakers, with someone like Meredith who adopts the book as her own, you get things like this. She's the one who said, let's do it in color. She's the one that added the little sparkles and the genie lamp on the inside and the special font. Absolutely wonderful. Hi, Nada, thank you. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about this book, because if you know me, there are two other books that everybody loves. One of them is Clean Out Your Life Closet, which is my self-help book on clarity, adaptability, simplicity, and making friends with stress. The other one is the famous Psychic Yellow Brick Road, How to Find the Real Wizards and Avoid the Flying Monkeys. But you know, there are a lot of people out there who are starting on the road now as being healers, vendors, intuitives. And there is no other book out there that says this is how to be a road warrior for psychic fairs, spiritual expos, holistic expos. And that's why I wrote this one. I was on the road starting in 2002, 45 weekends a year, 45,000 miles a year on my car. My nickname was the Travel Channel. I loved it. But in 2019, the universe said, we'd like you to get off the road, please. And to make sure I didn't argue, I got a herniated disc and pinched nerve. Now, that pain makes it look like a tea party when you're having triplets. So I had to get off the road, no help for it. But I knew that if I had all of this information, I should put it out there for the next generation, which is exactly what I did. And the book has 5 sections. The first one is the basics. Now, what are basics? If you decide you're going to be out there doing shows, then first you have to decide, what kind of shows do I want to do? And there are lots of questions to ask about that. You have to decide, what is my booth going to look like? You have to decide, what am I going to look like? And you have to choose a front person, because very often at the very large fairs, you're going to need someone else in front handing out the rack cards, telling people about you, making the appointments, taking the money. Then we discuss things like how to network with other people at the shows, with your clients, how to take care of yourself, all of this. And it's vital. And I wanted to do it specifically for people who would need that kind of instruction. Okay. I've pulled up my actual book now so that I can look and I can tell you a little bit about it. For instance, when you think about a booth, think about how you set it up. If you've ever been to a psychic fair, everybody's booth is different. It should reflect who they are. So in that chapter, for instance, I've got a picture of my booth. Looks like it was probably at the Mum Fair in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which was a great 2-day show that I did for many, many years. And we go left to right. It shows that I've got a container for the giveaway forms. It shows my testimonial book. It shows the electronic sign that I used. Now I do it on my iPad, that basically tells people this is what you can do here. This is how you set up. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Sandy. And the sign up sheets. It's all of the details. There are a lot of good business books out there. And my friend Cindy Griffith Bennett even wrote one about how to do a spiritual business. But how to be a road warrior, how to pack your car, load in, set it up, talk to people, load out. I mean, it's a little bit like a rock star, only you have a very, very tiny entourage. You are not going to be anything like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, or Elton John. Most times you're going to be doing it by yourself. But in the book also, there are some things that I call Corby Gets Candid. And these are not just here's where to go for a hotel. This is the color to choose, but it's experiences that I had that I specifically want to tell you want to avoid. Couple of them. Number one, when I was in London, Ontario, I did a reading for a young man and it did not go the way he wanted. He obviously wanted to know that he was going to have fabulous things, and I didn't see it. Well, the next day I found an anonymous death threat on my table. Yes, my darlings, that's how it happens. But in the back of the book, what I show you is my sign-in sheet form right there. And I explain it's important to get your client, especially if you're a reader or healer, to handwrite, fill out that form. Because I had that form, I was able to match up the death threat note handwriting with my sign-in sheet. We handed it off to the Ontario police and they took care of it. Now, another thing which is important, because face it, I want you to understand this. You are not going to be friends with everybody at a show. It's nice to think, love and light and kumbaya and unicorn farts, but it ain't that way. Hi, Michael, darling. The key is they're colleagues. Some of them become friends, but colleagues are not always going to have your best interest. And the example I give is another Corby Gets Candid at a small show where booths were close together. The intuitive next to me eavesdropped on my session. Her judgment of it was scathing. And she made her opinion clear, not to me, but by gossiping to the other readers at the show. And there was no way of dealing with her actions without lowering myself to her level. So I didn't address it. But let me tell you, eavesdropping on a session and judging a fellow intuitive when you don't know what you're overhearing, you're breaching professional protocol. You're violating the personal space of the client and the intuitive. It is the height of rudeness and unprofessional behavior. See, it's not a book that just says everything will be all right. It warns you that this is business. These are things you're going to run into, and you need to know first how you're going to deal with it. Hi, Ann. So I'm really, really honest about it. Okay. Now, is this only if you're an intuitive? No. This book is going to be useful for you if you're a healer, if you're a vendor, if you sell crystals or drums or vibrational essences or anything like that. Yes, it will be very useful for you. Now, if you want to know where to get the books, I can show you right here. Now, that is what you're going to see right now on Amazon. It will have the same cover as the other one, but until Amazon matches up the old volume with a revised, we needed to give you a way to know that this is the book that you want to get. Yes, we also have it in Kindle, and for that you can go back to the old one. You'll see this, and it'll still say revised edition, but there it's only the Kindle. Now, a lot of you have asked me, do you teach? Yes, I do. But for this, right now, I'm teaching one-on-one. What kind of stuff? For instance, I do a rookie session. If you're just starting and you're trying to figure out how to make things work, I do boot camp. for setting up a show. I do what I call the intensive, which is 6 sessions with me, and we go through the book. And again, it's one-on-one. Anything you specifically want to know, that's what we do together. I also do Brainstorm Your New Age Business if you're going into the field absolutely for the first time, and I do business mentoring. Now, there's going to be something special for those of you who are looking at the live. And for that, I am giving you, let me see, where are they? A special code, okay? And the special code, here we go. This is what I need. All right. Catch the code. New Genie, one word. So when you go onto my website and you look for Rookie, you look for business brainstorming, you look for boot camp, and you look for, you've got the magic, the intensive, which is a 6-session package. Use New Genie on that, and you will get, I think it's 20% off. And I'm only using this code for a few days because I want it specifically for the people who are doing the live with me. It's like I've said, I am 68, my darlings. I am off the road. And I don't want you to have to reinvent what's going on. Okay? If I can give you everything I learned, if I can set you on the road so that it works well for you, that's what I really, really want. So if anyone has questions, oh, Sandy wants to know, so glad the police took action, but wonder if they were surprised that it happened. What, that the police took action? I have no idea, Sandy. This was 15 years ago or more. And I had a show to do that day. They never came to me about it. And I left the next day because this happened on a Saturday and the show ended on a Sunday. But the most important thing is to make sure that people know they can't get away with this. How that would work in America, I do not know. Okay? To be honest, you folks in Canada take it a little more seriously than we do now. But look, it's a little tough out there now because there are some people who are scared of what we do. People who are uber religious may think that we do the devil's work. I mean, somebody actually asked me once, do you worship your tarot cards? And I kind of went like this. I'm sorry. They're tools. You know, I joked, I said, well, guys might worship their drill bit and their powered screwdriver because they love what they do in the tool shop, but not really. It is not like that. But people are going to ask you what you do. Am I safe? Okay. So these are all the things you can use to keep yourself safe. Patricia says people aren't as friendly as they were before COVID either. Patricia, you're absolutely right. People are scared. But, you know, it's funny. The first edition of this book was released in March of 2020. And what happened then but the years of Murder Hornet Bingo and Hold My Beer, as I call them. And so shows shut down. But now they're coming back online. And they're coming back a little differently, which is why I revised this book. For instance, I used to record my sessions. I still do an MP3 if we do a Zoom or a phone one-on-one here. But how did I do it before? When I started, I had a tape recorder. We did cassettes. And then, of course, we moved to CDs. But at this point, both of them are obsolete. People almost all have cell phones. They can all record on the cell phones. And so that makes it easier on me and less expensive. I'm not ordering CDs by the hundreds, and I don't have to keep getting a new CD machine every couple of years because it busts from being used. So that's new. On the other hand, there are certain things when COVID comes, if it comes back, I'm telling you, I had a sign on my desk and a box of disposable masks. And I made it very clear, look, I've done the cancer dance. I am immunocompromised. You want to sit with me? You will wear a mask. And I was adamant. Did I lose a couple of readings? Oh, probably. But most people, frankly, were very grateful that I had a mask for them, and they understood, which was really important. And I appreciated that. Okay. So it's those kind of things. If you are watching, because I see we have 12 people, and you have questions right now about how to do this stuff, no, please do not do the Does Bruce Love Me? You know, that's my once a month free reading hour. We're done in July. I'll have another one in August. But if you are at all considering doing this business, or if you're already in it and you have some questions about how to set things up, what are the basics, what to look for, what to avoid. That's what I was hoping we could talk about today, because I'm right here and I am sure that I will have seen what you had to deal with. One of the things that people forget is you need to feed yourself at these shows. Some people, they're so into, I've got to make money right now, that they don't schedule breaks. You have to. I give myself 15 minutes every 2 hours, primarily because once I'm in, I read. I am at the desk and I read. But again, this is where it's important to have your front person so that you get that break. One of the stories that I tell in the book is when I was trying to get a sandwich down in 15 minutes. And there was a guy who leaned over the table, poked my sandwich, and said, "Hey, you don't need to be eating lunch right now. My wife wants a reading." Don't be surprised. There are some people who will treat you like that. Luckily, I had a great front person who slid right in front, got between me and that person, and got them away from a booth. And obviously, they did not get a reading from me. They shouldn't get a reading from you either. One of the ways to lift all of us up is to make sure you're treated like the professional you are. Because if you insist being treated like a professional, it may train this person to treat other intuitives, other healers, other vendors as professional as well. It is not that if you do one thing wrong, everybody is going to be mad at you. But people tend to remember the dumb stuff. There's an old saying, I think it was 1 oh damn erases 10 attaboys. Okay. They'll remember the bad stuff. I mean, look online. When you read reviews, if they're for a restaurant or something like that, a lot of them are going to be the negatives because people get mad. But if you give somebody a really great experience, that is something they're going to remember, and they're going to tell other people. You know, we all have or should have websites, but there are thousands of them online. You need it because if they hear your name, that's the first place they're going to want to go. But you will also want to have testimonials there. If you go to my website, and it's corbymidline.com. Let me see if I can put that overlay on. You will find, there we go. You will find that I have testimonials all over the place there. Why? I do it because people believe other people. As I say, I can say I'm wonderful and that doesn't count. And we hire our front people to say they love us. But if they get an idea from someone else who's had a reading with me that they want to come to me because this person had a good experience, or they were really accurate, or they felt comfortable, that's perfect. That sells you for you. Okay? Of the 14 people watching, If anybody is going to do shows themselves or has done shows, drop me a little note in the chat. Say, hi, I did, because I would love to know who else is out there, how you're looking for it. One of the other things that has changed over time, I used to send out postcards. You got it, old-fashioned little postcards telling people that I was going to be at Bigamans in Kitchener, Ontario, or the Mum Fair in Allentown. But these days, number one, I think that postcards are now something like 68, 70 cents in America. It's nuts. And the other is you can do it just as well with an email or a blast, Instagram, TikTok, anything like that. So again, the book shows you how to bring yourself from the way we did it 20 years ago into now. And it's most important. There is something else that I've done with this book that's going to be very, very useful for you. In the original book, I would give the URL of places to go, maybe hotels, maybe supplies. But you and I both know how fast things change. So instead, I took all those URLs out. And now there is a dedicated page on the Corby Mitleid site with You've Got the Magic that has updates for absolutely everything. Hi, okay. My name is Rox, working a small shop. How do you promote asking clients afterwards in a way that doesn't sound egotistical? Your good work. All right, there are a couple things. When I have an appointment with someone, there is a follow-up letter that goes out to them, just an email that says, thank you so much for yesterday. I hope it was great. I hope it was useful. If you have any constructive criticism, I'd love to hear what it is. If you've had a good experience, and I ask them to leave a review on Google. Google is huge. When I'm doing a show, my front person offers them a testimonial book. All that is a little lined notebook where they can scribble things. It used to be that I would, at the end of the year, take all of those, type them up, and put them in my testimonial book for the year, and I would date them at the bottom of the page. I've got 20 years worth. I don't need to do that anymore. But if you're starting, you really do want to have a testimonial book on the table with comments from people that have had readings from you. Again, your front person will say you're wonderful, or the store manager for a small shop, they want to see something written, okay? I really do recommend that, Rox, and it's very simple. You don't have to push it. You just say, I'd be grateful if. That's all. I've always been, as is Natalie. Hi, Natalie. I've always been curious to know how intuitives protect their energies from reading so many people to avoid being overwhelmed. Well, there are lots of ways to do that. One of the biggest ways is to remember your ego should not be involved. How do I read? Because I did, in 4 days in Canada, 70 people and do 2 lectures. Well, for one thing, is I know I got my crew. My crew are my spirit guides, my angels, my buddies from 100 years ago in World War I. We all flew together. I've got my back. Some people use selenite wands or hematite on the table, anything like that. Focus on your person. Because when you're completely focused and completely in compassionate space, the minute they get up, you can train your mind to do a core dump. I know that when I read, once you're away from my desk, within 5 minutes, I will not remember a damn thing of what I told you. Not a thing, because I am completely focused on the next person. Now, as far as the exhaustion point goes, I'll be honest, I get a reader's high. I love doing this work. So I don't feel it until the end of the day. I've taken those 15-minute breaks every 2 hours to take a walk, hit the ladies, grab a sandwich, get some coffee. At the end of the day, though, I make sure that I go into a decent hotel or rarely a B&B, and I just drop it. I don't socialize. I don't make phone calls. I mean, the Wiki Woo suit comes off. I either grab a meal in the restaurant, or very often I would order room service, and I would just, it's like Superman becoming Clark Kent once the hotel door closes. It is important that you not be so cheap with hotel rooms that you've got hot and cold running bed bugs. But there are chapters in this book that talk about how to be a road warrior, that talk about gas, tolls, food, hotels, all of that, because you must treat yourself wonderfully. It doesn't mean you have to stay in a 5-star hotel necessarily. I did a lot of Hampton Inns, but it does mean you need to stay where it's clean, where you feel safe, where it's quiet, and where you can get a good night's sleep. Okay. Let's see. Anybody else got questions over here? Sandy says, I'm thinking the social media tools is a good thing. It is. It really is. My buddy Michael Arrington, which you may have seen in the chat, I love him to bits. He is the world's #1 impersonator, if you will, of Paul Lynde. He knows the Hollywood stuff. He is someone that taught me that Instagram is vital. And it's not just putting a quote up there every day. It's using the stories. It's using the reels. Because then people find you. When I started doing that, all of a sudden on my free reading hours, which I do once a month, I was getting people from all over the world. It wasn't just the people that knew me. So take advantage of the social media. Don't let it overwhelm you. But that's another way to get yourself out there. Announce that you're going to be at a show. Now, one thing, if the promoter says, okay, if you have a mailing list, give it to me and I will mail out information. No. When somebody gives you their name and email, they are trusting you not to give it away, sell it, or use it inappropriately. You can tell the promoter, that's okay, I'll send it out. Just tell me what I need to do. I'll send out the postcard, send me 100 or whatever. Because the most important quality that you can give your client, besides accuracy, is trust. They need to know that they are being able to trust you, not to use them and use their information. There are a lot of people that will do that. Not every psychic is as professional as I know you want to be. Don't stoop to their level. All right. I do a lecture at a lot of fairs called Master Commandments of Professional Intuitives, and one of them is ethics. Once you lose your reputation for being an ethical person, you will never get it back. Let's see. So glad to hear you say that about the high. It would happen to me too, but I didn't always know at first how to handle not remembering the clients after. You have to explain it to them. If I keep thinking about what I said to you, the next person that sits down, I might let your reading bleed into theirs, and that's not fair. Or they might hear something that was very private to you. Would you want that? Of course not. Privacy it's a rare commodity these days. So if we can provide it for them, it's the best way to do it. So let me see. What are some of the other things? Please have a disclaimer on your booth. What's a disclaimer? The disclaimer says basically, okay, you're responsible. I'm not. I will read you, and I want you to listen very carefully, the disclaimer that I have at my booth. It's in the book, page 140. Services are only to be used by those who are of majority age for their municipal jurisdiction. This service is of a spiritual, metaphysical nature and is based on the ancient teachings of the aforementioned services, of which Reverend Corby Mitleid has the required knowledge and experience to offer these services to the public. In keeping with principles of metaphysics, all information of a spiritual nature is meant to be a guide to assist in making an informed decision on matters affecting one's life. In accordance with principles of free will, the user realizes that they have the right and power to change any seemingly or obviously negative aspect into a more positive one, as nothing is written in stone. Said user of these services agrees to take full responsibility for themselves, the one they request services for, and agrees to hold harmless Corby Mitleid, Fire Through Spirit, and any associated entities in the event of improper use of information. Now, big capital letters. By booking an appointment and keeping that appointment, user of these services has read and agreed to be bound by the statements in this disclaimer. That's a lot of legalese, guys. I know it, but I've worked for lawyers. The thing is, because there is no Better Business Bureau for psychics, I mean, there are certain certifications. We see our buddy Dax Carlisle here, who is the head honcho for the Tarot Guild. My buddy Tim Lake was Tarot Certification Board of America. There are good organizations that support us, but there's no Better Business Bureau. So people aren't sure that we're legit. And they'll come after us if they feel like they got taken advantage of. They will. And in a court of law, bet your booties, the complaining client will be believed over the psychic. So that's why you need to protect yourself with every legality that you got. Okay? Catherine says we need to fine-tune our disclaimer. That's the kind of thing, Catherine, that I discuss in the business mentoring thing. So yes. Again, I want to remind people that I'm going to be doing a wonderful thing for you guys. See that code, New Genie? Because you've had the courtesy to hang with us today. You can use that code in the rookie sessions, business brainstorming, boot camp for putting together shows, my 6 segment overview in forget what it's called. I think it's the intensive. New Genie will give you 20% off. And I'm only showing it to people here. Okay, if people don't see this, they're never going to know the code. That is because you guys were kind enough to come and hang out with me on what is a very important and exciting day for me. So I know that Catherine, for instance, she and her husband are starting, I think it's Black Sheep Alchemy. So they're going to be doing work online. This book is going to give you information that is useful, even if you never set foot outside. For instance, what if you do parties? I do parties. In fact, I've got one this coming Saturday. What is it? It's going to be a birthday party for about 50, 60 people. And I'm going to be there anywhere between 3 and 5 hours. And I could make as much as $675 there because I've got a rep. I've been doing it a while. And on this booking site, I use the Bash. You bid. And if someone says, yes, I'm going to hire you, they sign it. Yes, I'm going to hire her. Yes, I agree to her fee. And it's going to be handed to me in cash next Saturday. It is wonderful. Okay. There are lots and lots and lots of things that we can do to up our profile. Number one, you ever hear of meetup.com? Meetup is a great place where there are lots of people who have special interest group. You could find someone who's into metaphysics, or if you're a healer, into Reiki, or if you are into vibrational essences or crystals. Maybe it's a group that loves spirituality and they want to learn to use that. Now, are you going to get paid doing the meetup group? Probably not. But it's a great way to do a meet and greet for a targeted segment that you want to hire you later. Okay? So whether it's meetup, whether it is a local chamber of commerce, all of these places are ways that you can up your profile, get known. And remember, maybe somebody at the meetup doesn't hire you, but they mention you to their Aunt Susie, who is having a party and decides, let's make it a psychic party. And boom, there you are, you get hired. Okay. Networking is brilliant. Now, how do you network? You always have your business card with you, always. And you have rack cards for your shows. What are rack cards? All right, let me see if I have one here. I'm stepping off camera, but I'm going to make a noise so that the camera knows that I am still here. All right, let me show you what rack cards are. This is a rack card. We used to do the triple flyers, the foldy things. Nobody does those anymore. Notice it's got a little blurb on me, shows my books, talks about what I do. On the back, I've got some testimonials. Yes, you will find in the new volume that I have given you full color copies of what I do. Now, what's the second thing? If you're going to be doing privates, you need this. Notice it says your own psychic event. And it tells people the kinds of parties that I do, how big they can be, how they arrange it. And you always have these out too. Because if you're reading at a show and someone says to your front person, does she do parties? Your front person, all she has to do is smile and nod and hand them the information. And then they can take this back and decide and maybe show it to friends. But if your front person or you has to give the whole explanation there, you're taking time away from where you should be reading. See? Peripherals like this are very useful. They're not that expensive. These come from a place called Got Print. I did have someone design them for me, but now I just order them as I need them. These are things that people didn't used to think about. Way in the beginning, I mean, you'd see someone with a glitter sign and press on letters. Nobody does that anymore. Nobody does that. That's the mark of someone who is a rookie. You want to look as professional as possible. Now, how you look professional, it's going to be up to you, okay? You will always see me in something like this, which is my butterfly coat and a simple black or dark colored tank underneath, maybe a piece of jewelry. There are some people who dress differently. The 3 examples I give in the book. My dear friend, certified tarot master Crystal Wind, she loves Egypt. So she dresses in caftans. My wing sister, First Nation shaman, Eagle Skyfire, tailored, very Native American First Nations feel to it. And my buddy Mickey in Toronto, who is very much a rock chick, she dresses like Stevie Nicks. All of them have their own flavor. When you have something where people will recognize you from across the room, you've got your look. Do you have a preferred company for business cards or the print out materials? Yep. And that is all going to be on the new page. It's already up there. If you go to my website, scroll down the first page, you'll see the books. And 1, 2, 3, you're going to click on You've Got the Magic Who Needs a Genie. Then you're going to see the updates page. There is a place that says click here for updates. And that page will give you all the references that we will update for you, where to get things printed, where to find cheap hotel rooms, where to get signs made, how to advertise. That's all there. I've collected all of that and I've used it for years. If it's on there, it's useful. And as things grow and change, for instance, let's say Vistaprint goes out of business, but all of a sudden you've got somebody named Print Giraffe and they're kind of taking over. We would take down Vistaprint, we would put up Print Giraffe. That used to be in the book, but I learned from the first volume from 20 to 23, things change very, very often, very often. So this is, let me see if I can find it for you. If this was Zoom, it would be a piece of cake, but it's not. So I have to see if I can make it work here. But I'm going to go to my website and show you the page if I can. Okay. Let's see, where is it? Okay. Looks like it'll go up on Monday, but I can show you now. So let me find out. Share screen, yes. Here it is, and I'm going to show you. Okay. Notice you've got the magic, and this talks about the courses I told you about, Exhibitor Bootcamp, the basics, and the A-Lister Masterclass program. Look at all of the links I have for you. Expo directories, booking outside gigs, hotel booking sites, gas prices, local events for meeting people, social media platforms for networking and marketing, book podcasts to make appearances. You really want to do podcasts, especially if you have any kind of peripheral. How to create invoices and accept online payments, email marketing services, online printing and supply houses, online scheduling software, online teaching platforms. Okay? All of that we have collected for you because that's a lot of work. And it's much easier if you just know where you can go. Okay? So this is where we are. Right? Good Lord, I've been on for 42 minutes. I hope that this has been useful for you. Please grab that book, spread the word. I would love to work with you to see how we can up your profile. To do that, you saw there's boot camp and the intensives. If you go on my normal homepage and book a reading, you'll see we also do the rookies, we do business brainstorming, and we do business mentoring. I will be happy to help you grab this tiger by the tail and run with it. Okay? So go buy the book. Let me help you be brilliant. You are the next generation, and I want to make you shine. Okay? So you've got The Magic Who Needs a Genie, the revised edition. Grab it now. It's also on Kindle. And if you want to work with me, use New Genie for any of those business appointments and get a discount. All right? Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope it makes a difference for you. Be safe, be well, and I'll see you on the road.